Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Bernie here, giving you a different type of video today. Usually when I be doing these type of videos, I usually will be live streaming, then record that, and then put that out for you guys. But today, we're going to do something a little different. We're actually just going to record a video. I thought that these two topics weren't necessarily something to be, I would say necessarily stream worthy, but more so just talk about and just put out a video. That's why the video out today on Thursday, April 14th, is going to be a little bit late today. And we have two things to discuss here. We have, of course, the Charlotte Hornets and how I feel that this was a good thing that they were in the play-in game and lost, and it kind of shows you where they're at. And then we also have a Zion Williamson news and talking really more so about what happened there. But before we do any of that stuff, I want you guys to remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Remember, we are trying to grow this channel to be something very interesting and something special here. And so if you guys could just hit that like button, let people know that, hey, the Charge is somewhere where you can go for your sports and talk about and kind of have your voices heard. And that's what I want to create here on the channel. And so if you guys could kindly do that for me, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Like I said, it'll help that channel out tremendously. And I'm really trying to create an atmosphere where we can all talk about sports. So like I said, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Now, as we kind of continue talking, like I said, we're going to talk more so about the Charlotte Hornets and the Zion news. Let's first talk about the Charlotte Hornets. We obviously know that last night was not their night. We know that they lost really badly, and if we can look at the game that happened, I'll click over here. They lost last night 132 to 103, and I think it kind of goes to show you where the Charlotte Hornets are at their current moment. The Charlotte Hornets are owned by Michael Jordan. The GM is Michael Jordan, and we all know when it comes to Michael Jordan and the Charlotte Hornets, they tend to struggle. They have had a good season, I think. They had some hiccups here and there. I thought they could have done a lot better in some games. I mean, you went against the Wizards, you went against the Bulls, you went against the Magic, and lost to the Heat. And I just feel like there were some games where you could see that they were improving. But as you can see about the scores, and I can scroll down for you, they were in some high scoring games, and those are just type of games that in the playoffs you can't get away with. And I think their defensive deficiencies kind of reared their ugly head, as you can tell by the score of last night's game. The reason why I started with the roster up here on the screen is because you can clearly see that when it comes to all these players that we're naming here on this list, the one common trope is that it is a very young team. We look at everything that goes on in this NBA organization, and we can clearly see that they are just very young, and the reason why they didn't win last night. And I think that goes to show you like how much of a difference it means to be in order to be like a team that wins an NBA championship. And I can pull this statistic up, and you can see like the championship winning teams that are the youngest. You can tell that the Blazers from the 70-76 season, the most current team on this list is actually the 2014-2015 Golden State Warriors. And it kind of goes to show you that you have to be a very, average size team. I think the average that they said is around 28 years old, and you can clearly see why. Because when you're a young team like this Hornets roster, and we can look at it, they're just not ready. They just haven't had that playoff experience like a lot of the other teams have had. The Hawks got to the Eastern Conference Final last time, and so you can clearly see that this is a situation at hand where the Hornets still need some growth and development. And yes, Lonzo Ball is very disappointing. Terry Rozier disappointing. Oubre disappointing. Washington disappointing. And Miles Bridges, we'll go on a little bit about him, and I think it kind of goes to show you why you need to be an older team. So when I really look at this roster, when I see everything that goes on about the Hornets, I think that they are a good team. I think that they can be a better team next year. And I think that this play-in game was a great experience for them to realize, okay, we're definitely not at the level of even the Hawks, who are the 9 seed. Like, we need to step our game up. We need to make sure that we are going to be able to even just compete in the playoffs. Like, yeah, we can win against the bad teams, but can you win against the good teams? And that's the question mark that I think a lot of us are wanting answers from when it comes to the Charlotte Hornets team. Again, they are a good team. I'm not saying there's anything bad about them in terms of, I think they can be a better squad in the future. The question is, who is that player that they're going to add that's going to do that? Because you signed Gordon Hayward to that contract. You were thinking that he was going to be the guy. And I didn't think it was actually a bad signing at the time. I think at the beginning I was like, man, this is a bad move. But as you can kind of see towards the tail end of the season, or when you kind of see a little bit more, it actually wasn't a bad idea because he's an older player with a lot of playoff experience. You could see when he was in the bubble with the Boston Celtics, he was a vital piece to us winning some of those games. And Jason Tatum shot us out of it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'm just, at this point, the Hornets really missed him in the last night's game. And, I think that that's something that the Hornets need to think about as they kind of continue moving on, is like, can Gordon Hayward stay healthy enough for us to have him on the roster still? And that's the one thing that I get concerned with when it comes to a guy like Gordon Hayward, is like, yes, he's a tremendous player. I think he's a great player. But at the same time, the problem with Gordon Hayward is, can he stay healthy? And that was a problem with the Celtics. Obviously, he had the bad injury. It is what it is. I think that one was more of a freak accident. When it comes to the other stuff that you're seeing out there, the foot is a huge concern about Gordon Hayward. And the reason why I would have cause for pause in continuing that contract, I'd probably look to something else to kind of ease the sort of situation that's going on in Charlotte. Because I know that he signed him there to be that veteran leader, but I'm just not sure if he's really the guy because he can't stay healthy. And so that's something that the Hornets have to think about as they kind of continue moving up in these last coming years. You're going to have some guys that, especially, and we'll talk about the next story actually in a little bit. You have some players that could be coming up in their contracts and, declining options so they can get a Supermax deal. And we'll see if this player can. But at the end of the day, I think LaMelo Ball will be a superstar. I think he will be a great player. You can clearly see that in the regular season. I think this is a great experience for him to be like ready for the playoffs. When it comes to all this stuff for the Hornets to continue, I think Michael Jordan made a great selection in LaMelo Ball. I don't think he would ever be disappointed in selecting him. But I do think that the years past, with the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and the Bismack Biyombo's of the world and other players like that they've added throughout the years where they could have done a lot better in the draft, is coming to rear and bite them in the head. I mean, again, they're a decent team, and I think that they have made tremendous strides under James Borrego. But at the same time, I still think that they are just one piece away. And whether that's Gordon Hayward or whether you trade him for another piece is going to be the biggest question mark. And the other thing that they have to think about, and of course this is coming to our next topic on the show, is Miles Bridges' extended contract. It's expected to command a max salary this offseason. So Miles Bridges declined a 4-year, $60 million contract extension offer from the Hornets last season, and that was probably a great move by him. You could see that he clearly blossomed into this really great player. And it's expected that he's going to command a maximum salary this offseason, $173 million for 5 years. The league personnel believe the Hornets intend to match any offer sheets Bridges may sign as a restricted free agent. Because Charlotte is in that situation, teams could potentially be dissuaded from making an earnest attempt at signing Bridges, or could encourage a rival to force the franchise to pay his full max. The one thing that caused for pause for me is the behavior that he showed yesterday when he got ejected from the game. And that was just him throwing the mouthpiece because he was frustrated, because there's probably a fan just taunting him. He threw a mouthpiece at a female fan. Not saying that, it doesn't matter what gender they are, but it is kind of, it's the same thing that I said with Steph Curry back when he was throwing his mouthpiece out in the crowd, is that those type of emotions you can't show, and you have to grow from them. I'm not going to reprimand him and be like, this guy deserves to be suspended. But what I will say is that if I am, in the office with Miles Bridges talking about that, I'm like, look, I think that you're a tremendous player. I think that you can grow to be a great third or second option on this team. But what I'm going to need from you is the maturity that comes with that max contract, right? You can't be throwing your mouthpieces out because you're frustrated that you got ejected. You just have to lick your wounds. And that's the one thing that is hard about sports sometimes. I was a player myself. I still am very competitive at times. And I would probably react sort of similar, not in terms of throwing my mouthpiece, but, get frustrated and, let the frustration kind of go into, affecting me in some sort of ways. I mean, I think it affects everybody in some sort of way as well. You take an L and you're like, okay, you know what, screw it. I'm going to try to get back up there and I'm going to try to battle. And that's the thing that it comes down to when it comes to this Miles Bridges situation is I just don't know. I just need insurances about him. I don't think that he's worth 173. Do I think he's worth 120? Do I think he's worth at least 140? Probably. I would say he's in the John Collins range, where it's I don't think that he's necessarily a superstar or a star player. maybe he could potentially be a star player, but I don't think that he's at that upper echelon. And I think that he needs to kind of go to the John Collins route of contracts. Like, yes, he had a tremendous season, but you need to see that consistently throughout the whole time. And obviously, he has a rap career that he's trying to grow and trying to, as another revenue. Dame Lillard does the same thing. You could see that Miles Bridges is trying to do the exact same thing as well. And that's the one thing that when I look at everything, when I see everything, I'm just not sure that he's worth that much money of getting a super max. Like, this is Ben Simmons level of deal, and I think Ben Simmons could be and not to like go with Ben Simmons, but I think more so, I think it should be more John Collins is what his kind of comp should be as to what money he should get. Like, again, I do think that he's a great player. I do think that he is a tremendously gifted athlete, obviously high flyer, works really well with LaMelo. I'm curious to see if LaMelo wants to play with him. Obviously, he probably does. But my question more so is, like, if he does sign for that Supermax, is he going to take it to the next level? And can he hold his emotions? And that's the one thing that's tough. It's tough to know because every person's different. And it's not a Miles Bridges thing. It's like an everybody thing. Some players are more emotional than others, and they're going to react a certain way. And that's just the way that the game goes. And that's the way life works, right? Not everybody is the same. Everybody has their different quirks that make them unique, that makes them cool. Kind of makes them a little bit of a douche sometimes. I think that's a thing that a lot of us forget is that there are some of those quality traits. And that's the one thing is, like, I want to know your guys' opinion in the comment section down below as this video comes up live. Do you guys think that Miles Bridges is worth that Supermax extension? Do you think he's worth that much money? And that's the question that I think a lot of us are going to have to figure out is if he's worth that much money. But let me know, like I said, in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of the Miles Bridges situation? Would you pay him the Supermax? Would you just pay him 120? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also let me know what you guys think about this Hornets situation. Like, do you think that this is a great thing that they lost, or that they were actually, that the play-in game actually happened so they could get that playoff experience? I know Michael Jordan and the rest of the team will be going to the drawing board and figuring out, okay, what's the next move for us to do? Like, what can we add? Who can we trade? What can we do to get ourselves over the hump and really get ourselves more in the 6th seed and the 7th seed rather than trying to get into this playing game where we have no chance of, where we have a little chance, I would say. And it's just because of their defense. I think the number one thing for this team is defense. They're going to have to step it up defensively because you can see from the last couple of games from this whole situation is that they are a team that likes to be a high-scoring team, or they like to be high-scoring and also give up a lot of points, which I think is a recipe for you're probably not going to win in the playoffs because you're giving up so many defensive mistakes and defensive lapses. So, like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you make of the Charlotte Hornets? And then quickly moving on to the next story, Zion Williamson. We obviously saw that last night, and I'll kind of show the video of him dunking kind of on repeat. You can see here that he's doing a 360. He's, dunking. He's doing a lot of different things. And this kind of leads to the story of Zion Williamson playing in potential first-round series is viewed as no chance. And this is, of course, by Cassie Hubbard of ESPN. Zion Williamson has not been ruled out for the entire season, but the New Orleans Pelicans have revealed to Cassie Hubbard that the return to play is not imminent. There is no chance Williamson would not play in the possible playing game against the Clippers on Friday, or even if it's a first-round series against the Suns. Williamson is playing in a control of 5-on-5 scrimmages, but is out indefinitely. The Pelicans will judge Williamson's recovery based on how he is ready for training camp next season. And you can clearly see when it comes to all this stuff, everybody, is that I think this was a bad look for Zion. And I don't necessarily think it was the best idea for him to kind of be out in the public light and be dunking and doing things where it's like, then why isn't he playing in this series? Because you can clearly see that this is frustrating not only Pelicans owners, it's also frustrating the fans that want to see Zion. When Zion Williamson was healthy, when he was playing in the games, he was clearly, a great player. You could see that he won Rookie of the Year. I mean, this guy adds so much dynamics to the Pelicans that I think is needed in order to continue to move on in the series. The problem is Zion Williamson just cannot the weight is a huge issue. Like, if we look back at this video, I mean, Zion Williamson looks damn near 300 pounds, maybe even more. He looks like he's about 320. And again, I'm just not sure at 6'6" that's necessarily the best thing for Zion to be is 300 pounds, because you need to be a lean, type of player, especially when it comes to those injuries, because like it happened to Shawn Kemp. I think Shawn Kemp is the perfect example. I know young viewers probably won't know Shawn Kemp as much, but he was kind of a similar build, like an undersized, like maybe a little bit bigger, but an undersized center at the time, but with so much power and velocity of dunking the ball and being so huge and big. But as soon as he started to gain the weight, he started getting injured. And that's the same thing that happened with Zion. He started getting injured more. Like you could see why like he even like hobbled after that dunk, because he was like, all right, this is probably something that I probably shouldn't be doing, but he is doing. And again, it kind of goes to show you as we look here on the story, you know, Zion being ruled out for the series, I think is a bad look for Zion and his camp, because what you're telling us is that you were healthy, but at the end of the day, you just aren't playing. And to me, that's what would frustrate me as a fan of the Pelicans, a fan of Zion, is that I think the people that are running his camp are giving him bad advice. And I heard that the stepfather is very involved. He wants, you know, Zion to be kind of this sort of, you know, mystical figure, or maybe not mystical figure, but he wants Zion, you know, he's in the best interest of Zion, you know, wants to get him to New York. I mean, originally, if the Knicks had the #1 pick like they were supposed to, I'm sure he would be playing right now. He'd be, you know, they'd obviously be winning a little bit more. And I think that's kind of where Zion wants to be. I don't think he wants to be in New Orleans. He wants to be in a big market. He wants to be in a market where he can be branded. I mean, you can see him in the Mountain Dew commercials when he was hurt. Like, there's a lot of commercials that they want him to be in, kind of be in the spotlight. And that, to me, is kind of the situation at hand when it comes to the Pelicans is, you know, they're basically a small market screwed by a guy that wants to be big time, that wants to be, you know, with the Lakers, or, you know, with a big organization or a big city, rather than staying in New Orleans where it's a small market, unfortunately. But the thing that, you know, kind of disappoints me is that I really do think this Pelicans team played really well yesterday against the Spurs and could potentially make noise against the Clippers this Friday. And to me, like, the fact that you're seeing a team like the Pelicans make a huge run, they have a new coach. I mean, if we look at, hang on, let me just kind of change it here and go to the Pelicans roster and show you guys, like, the Willie Green has done a tremendous job with this roster, and really has done really well with players that, you know, shouldn't be really doing their thing. I mean, a lot of, you know, I think since adding CJ McCollum, I think it's been a tremendous add by this team. I think you can clearly see that there's a direction that they're going in, and Brandon Ingram has definitely stepped up in some sort of role. Again, I still think that he's a guy that maybe could make it another leap, but I think he needs to get a little more strength. But you got Jose Alvarado, who, you know, was shooting lights out yesterday. I mean, this kid was playing tremendously, and I just feel like they all want to play for Willie Green. Whereas I feel like, you know, with the other teams, or even, you know, I just don't feel like Zion Williamson wants to play for Willie Green. I think Willie Green as a coach has done a tremendous job. I think you can clearly see that this team is heading in the right direction moving forward. The question that I always have for this team was, you know, what's the end game for them? Because I think that as much as I love Zion Williamson and everything like that, he clearly doesn't want to be there. And that's a huge concern for me, because I think that this team could actually do some big damage if he was actually in the team. But at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is at this point. The Pelicans, obviously with the losing record, got into the play-in game, and you just have to tip your cap off to them, because I think, like I said, the Pelicans are not the best team in the world, but they have made small noises to continue to grow and develop and to actually move forward in this playing game. Like I said, they have a great chance against the Clippers. You know, the Clippers aren't fully healthy. I think that they could potentially sneak that one out of there and get a win and you know, get into the playoffs and, you know, make a huge playoff run. And I think this would be a huge momentum boost for everybody. And I do think that Zion Williamson and his camp at times want to be more of attention seekers. So you can clearly see why Zion Williamson was dunking the ball, why there's news out about Zion Williamson. It's because he wants to be in the limelight. And I don't think it's necessarily him. I think it might be a little bit of him, but I think it's his camp and his stepfather more so than ever, trying to be like, okay, Zion, like, you're gonna be out for the playoffs, but let's put out a video of you dunking. You know, let's do something crazy. Maybe do a 360 windmill dunk in warm-ups as you're trying to get back into basketball shape. And that will, you know, obviously have Twitter. Obviously, you have me talking about it right now in this video. And I just think that when it comes down to it, everything that I'm seeing here, I would say that it is particularly frustrating to see that star players like Zion Williamson, like Ben Simmons, gain these injuries. You know, sometimes they don't even want to be in the team that they're playing on, and it kind of forces the team's hand to be like, well, if he doesn't want to play, then we're just going to move on without you. And it just puts him in an awkward spot because now you're going to trade him away. You're going to move him to a different team. And then all of a sudden, now it's like, is he supposed to, does he want to be here if like it doesn't go well? That's the biggest concern if I'm one of these teams, star teams or a team that, a lot of stars want to go to. If we don't do things the right way, will he want to leave? And that to me is a big concern for a guy like Ben Simmons, for a guy like Zion, especially Zion, because I just feel like he's so young to be doing this stuff. Zion Williamson, I believe, is only 21 years old, and he's already acting like the world's against him. And it's not really, I think it's more so the stepdad, who is kind of the PR, the agent, all that stuff. I think he's really pulling all the strings and, making Zion look like a puppet at this point. And I just think that it's frustrating to me because, like I said, we all just want to see Zion play. We don't care what position he plays. We don't care how he plays. We want to see him play, and I just feel like the stepdad has been taking that away from the fans, especially Pelicans fans who want to see their team succeed and really see their team grow and develop under Willie Green and the head coaching staff and the whole organization of the Pelicans as they try to brand themselves as a place where, yeah, we can actually go there and compete. Kind of creating a Spurs-like situation, a small market team that a lot of players respect because, hey, they go to the playoffs a lot and they're a team that garners a lot of respect. But I want to know your guys' opinion on this story in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the Zion Williamson news. Are you guys in agreement? Do you guys disagree? And again, I do apologize that this video is going out a little bit later, but I decided to record a video instead of using my pre-recorded videos from today because I did want to talk about these two teams because I think there's a lot of positivity that could come from these two organizations. They just have to find a way to get that going in the near future. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of the whole New Orleans Pelicans and Charlotte Hornets situation that's happening right now? Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors, and also basketball opinions with the emphasis on basketball opinion. Of course, for today's show specifically, a lot of basketball opinions. Let me know, like I said, in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of all this? And we'll catch everybody on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.